Rinpoche.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see everybody?
I guess so.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for bringing me to the world of this, I don't know, web, whatever.
The global community of educators and parents.
Oh, how many people are here?
Right now, there's just 5 of us.
Okay.
I think about 4 or 5 more are coming.
Okay. Wait. So much things to do as a Rinpoche or as a whatever. This is proving to be the most difficult. Giving education to children.
Well, it's happening, Rinpoche, in really nice ways at the school.
I know you guys are doing amazing job.
It's fun. We also have Heidi is here, and Jesse and Isaiah, and Maya in England. Are you in England, Maya?
No, I'm in Germany, in Munich.
And Michael Masiosi is on the Middle Way Education Board. I just thought we would have a small group, and I sent you a few more questions last night.
Okay, you have to, if rather than maybe go through each every question, maybe I will just go through generally, probably because they are all very related, I think. But if something is left out, if something is not clear, you can always please raise your hand and ask me. I will try my best. Anyway, are we starting now?
Yes, Rinpoche, thank you so much.
Okay. Now, you know, more and more, I realize language, language is just so obscure and vague and it only does, when actually it does, it only sort of does the job only like maybe 50% of what it should be doing or what it is intended. You know, like the word like harmony, it's so vague, isn't it? It can be, of course, in one sense, seeing the truth. There is no better harmony than seeing the truth. And there's no better maker of harmony than seeing the truth. So in this sense, one can say Dharma and harmony are sort of very, very, I don't know, you can almost say one, right? But it's a bit like within the Dharma, you will find harmony. You can, but just because things are harmonious does not necessarily mean that it is a Dharma. I'm talking as a pure Buddhist here. So those who don't know me, please, I need to tell you that I'm a Buddhist fanatic, so to speak. So I can only speak, I've been trained. I was born as a Buddhist. I was born in a Buddhist family. I practically brainwashed by Buddhists. So this is the only thing that I know of, so to speak. Dharma, Sanskrit word Dharma again is such a large, such a deep, profound, it's a term that is just almost untranslatable. By the way, I think Noah and I was talking this few months ago. I think not only in one culture, but in many cultures, we realize that there are actually many words that a certain culture have that almost cannot be translated, like in Finland, in Sweden, Norwegian. Beautiful, beautiful language, word, term that just cannot be translated. You can sort of explain it. You can sort of say Dharma is like that. Dharma is really, it's vast. But anyway, for now, Dharma is something to do with the truth and more leaning towards the ultimate truth, I would say. Now, when we talk about harmony, it may not necessarily be the truth. It may be very conventional, expedient. It may be out of necessity. It may be for a temporary, it may be means rather than end. So if you must ask this question, which one is more high, which one is higher, if you talk in terms of hierarchy, then I would say Dharma is higher. Dharma would be sitting on a higher throne than harmony, right? But in Buddhism, relative truth is equally respected to the, ultimate truth. If somebody has dreamt that they have won a lottery, $1 billion lottery, until this person has woken up to the truth that this is just a dream, you somehow have to play along with this guy as if he or she has some money. Okay, maybe you can even say, oh, why not invest it? Why not buy me a lunch? Why not go to, I don't know, casino, and so on and so forth. So because that's you have to be, you don't want to go straight and say, hey, that this doesn't exist. You are just dreaming. That may not necessarily create harmony. You want to have some harmony with this person, right? So many times harmony comes in it's like a means, but that is not like degrading harmony. Relative truth should not be degraded. Means should not be degraded, because after all, if you want to reach to the end, the means is all you have. So, okay, you have asked some really big questions here. So, little difficult to touch every subject, but let's see. So, like, harmony is used by, let's say, Confucius a lot. So you will find a lot of Chinese philosopher or Chinese ancient, masters using the word harmony. In fact, I have heard that the Chinese are coming with a operating system called harmony very soon. So harmony is a one word the Chinese tend to use a lot. We know that this comes from a sort of Confucius sort of background. Now, okay, as a Buddhist, how would we look into this kind of harmony? The Buddhist would close one eye and open one eye and look into this kind of harmony. Yes, order, respect to the elders, thinking more about the, society rather than the individual. This has definitely certain value. It can keep things orderly. It can keep things harmoniously. It can keep things, save a lot of trouble, I guess, if you like. But it always has a loophole, especially if the elders, fathers, mothers, people who are supposedly higher ones, if they are not taking the responsibility, then this kind of order, thinking more about the nation, patriotism, all of this could be also very blinding, and it can be very constricted, confined, and it can also lead us into corruption. And I think we have a lot of example of that. Now, in the modern society, more like in the West, we know individualism is very much cherished. Individualism, human rights, right of speech, freedom of, expression, freedom to read, freedom to thinking, freedom of this, that. Now, this is all good, of course. How can we say it's not good? But again, as we know, that could also disrupt harmony because, if every individual who are, fighting for the individual rights, if they're all like sublime beings, then world will be perfect, but it is not. Some people want to eat your finger. Some people want to, paint your door, your rainbow like, all kinds of things. People have different kinds of, individual thinking, and it's not reducing. It's not like every individual has, and when that happens, harmony gets also disrupted. So harmony is, now if you are asking me, do we need a harmony? I think so. And if you are asking me, for someone who's trying to follow Dharma, Buddhism, then if you are asking me how would I try to maintain harmony, I would say, okay, I would be very critical towards both camp that I was just mentioning, thinking more about the group. I think I will think about the group with a pinch of salt. And I will also think about individually, since we have already put salt in our mouth, maybe how about pinch of chili, so both chili and salt you put in the mouth and think about individualism and think about the society. This is of course difficult because we human beings are just not good at being in the middle. And I guess this is what you guys are trying to groom, a next species who will sort of, who will live with the with a life of a middle way. Very, very big task, you know, it's a really big job, but it's a doable, it's a very doable. It's, you know, like, okay, for instance, like, okay, rationalism, right? Who doesn't want to be rational? Who doesn't want to be rational, especially after the Renaissance and rationalism, and who doesn't? But how about go a step further? How about be critical towards the rationalism also? You know, why get so blindly devoted towards rationalism? So things like that. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm being too academical and too convoluted right now. I will try to answer some of your questions. So, happiness and harmony. This is a very tricky question. Very tricky. How do we define happiness? Again, if you are asking somebody like Shantadeva, a Buddhist, Rawang Thamji Devayin, Yamang Thamji Dungalin, anything that is, you know, anything that is under your control, in your control, is happiness. Anything that is even slightly under the, if you are dependent on somebody, I don't know, it doesn't matter. It could be just you are dependent on someone's shower. Okay, you have to take a shower in somebody's bath. You have a problem there, you know. You know, you are relying on somebody's shower room, right? So that's how a Buddhist would define very broadly. But I have to say, Buddhists are not necessarily interested in happiness anyway, because Buddhists are supposed to really, you know, try to go beyond happiness and unhappiness, or trying to question what is happiness and unhappiness anyway. But again, coming back to, you know, like, and there are some questions, maybe I should just go through that. Very practical. You have to think about the immediate situation, and then you have to also think about the long-term situation. I think it's a bit like this. You know, we go to, you know, bookshop, and then there's all these books about leadership training, management books. There's so many. I've noticed there's more and more of those books. It's really amazing that none of these books talk about you are going to die. You have not much time to lead. You know, you don't have much time to manage. You understand? It's quite amazing. It's like basically blindly telling you that you'll be a manager forever. You'll be a leader forever. And that's fundamentally going wrong, isn't it? That's how we end up becoming a bad leader, because you basically believe that you are going to be leader forever and you are going to manage things forever. Okay, sorry, I'm going everywhere. So key aspects of harmony between teacher and the children, I think we already discussed this. I think key here, we in the middle way school, one of the key is there is this philosophy that education is almost out of necessity. It's like I almost want to say it's like a necessary evil, but I would not put it that way. So don't quote me, huh? But it's almost like that. It's almost like we should not be educating these people, but we better might as well, because if we don't do it, Instagram is going to do it, Facebook, Jeff Bezos is going to do it, Amazon is going to do it, somebody is going to do it. So we will do it, but we are doing it out of reluctance and some sort of a humility as a parent, as a teacher. That probably is key to harmony between teacher and children, I would say. And by the way, if in none of this is, if many of this is really, going too theoretical and not making sense, please raise your hand and ask me questions, but I will continue. Okay, there is, I think, the mundane language is teamwork. So there is a Buddhist anecdote, right? Story about, I think you guys are using this, elephant, monkey, rabbit, and bird. This is kind of an important story, actually. It's important for many ways. Because the fact that there are 4 animals, different animals, all together, size-wise, looking-wise, monkeys, they speak different language, they look different, their size is different, their color is different, bird flies, elephants don't, so on and so forth. This is an important one, which means that everybody has their own selfishness. Everybody thinks differently. Somebody wants to eat your finger, someone wants to paint, I don't know, something else on your window, whatever, you understand? So they're all different, but we all want to have the fruit, right? These 4 animals, they are trying to catch a fruit. This is the story. So let's do it together. Some sort of a, okay, elephant, you have a big body. Why not you just, you be the ground, you be the foundation, and so on and so forth. So I think that is quite a good story, because it's almost like we are accepting, okay, we are all different, but we can do something together. That story would not have worked if 4 animals are all monkeys. Then that anecdote would have failed. But because 4 animals are 4 different kinds of animals, it's kind of important. Please ask me questions later if you need. Now, of course, if you are going to talk about non-duality level, then that we are talking about the highest level of harmony. But by then, I don't know whether we will even be using the word harmony, because moment you talk about harmony, you are already assuming there are 2 contradictions, there are 2 contradictory or competitive nature, or 2 different kinds of things. So, but on the other hand, when you can dismantle the very idea of difference, like notion of duality, then of course there is the real peace. And if you are using the word harmony in the sense of peace, yes, then that is the real harmony. Mm, yes, for immeasurable, definitely. And actually, Janti Khandro is very right. And there again, it's quite interesting if you pay some attention. The first thing you do is may all be happy and have a cause of happiness. Okay, sort of the most easy to approach. Everybody wants to be happy, for sure. And may they all have that and cause of the happiness. But of course, the Buddhist would explain a little bit further. This is why the word may they be happy and have cause of happiness. The Buddhists are trying to put the Buddhist message there because real cause of happiness is by seeing the truth. So may all sentient beings be happy, but may they also eventually understand the cause of happiness, which is understanding the truth. That, the easiest one, and then the more difficult one, may they all be free from suffering, and may they all be free from cause of the suffering. It's much, much higher level, actually. Compassion, kind of. By the way, compassion is still not right, not a good word, but let's use it anyway. Yeah, this mind of wishing to free all sentient beings from dukkha, suffering, and the cause of suffering, really, that's like that's like departing from minding your own business much more. May all be happy and have cause of happiness. Yeah, you are becoming a little bit busybody, but may all be free from suffering and be free from cause of suffering. Much more difficult. And then the third one, may they never separate from the joy of not having suffering. That's like going against the envy and jealousy, much more difficult. And then yes, the equanimity, I think one would say this is probably a very good door to understand and practice or put the harmony into practice. There's this question about, does harmony naturally manifest on its own? In what ways? In the natural world, in human relationship, in all phenomena? Wow, very big question. And Noah, aren't we sort of also open to understand, open to the wisdom from like Taoism in the future, if not now?
It's your vision, Rinpoche. I think yes, as long as we're clear that that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I like the word manifest on its own. There are great wisdom like Taoism. And then of course, in the Vajrayana Buddhism called like Mahasandhi or Mahamudra, these tradition teaches us how we should just let it be. You know, in fact, the word nyamja is what is being translated as a meditation now. You know, the English word meditation is really not doing the justice to the word, Tibetan word nyamja, or the, nyamja. Nyamja. Ja has a connotation of just let it be, let it be. The whole problem with us is not letting things be, always trying to alter something, update something, convert something, educate somebody. I don't know, there's this like, we just need to fix things. We just need to do things. Now, whoever has asked this question, you know, to the answer, this is the highest way to achieve the harmony. But I don't know, probably, I don't know, we never know. The children always surprise us, but so they probably will be the best people who will understand this. But us adults, as simple as this, actually, this is a very, very simple wisdom and simple technique, but due to our this stubborn habit of needing to fix things, needing to sort it out, needing to, I don't know, needing to improve, advance, all of that doesn't let the natural harmony manifest on its own. But I have seen middle way people, including the children, they sit 1 minute, and during that 1 minute sitting, it is already a stepping stone for letting harmony naturally manifest on its own. I would say that. So, but hopefully we will not be stuck in one way, that is sitting. Hopefully one day the graduate from the middle way school could be I don't know, building a rocket or flying to Mars. And even as they do, they are so good at letting the harmony naturally manifest. But somewhere we have to begin. And I think, like, you know, sitting, this is known and tested by a lot of people as most harmless, economical, and easiest way to do. So I would say it's good. Yeah, it is challenging to teach probably harmony to children because, you know, the environment that we live is always ringing the bell of competition. I don't know. Competition. That's how consumer. Basically, middle way school students or teachers and parents hopefully shall not fall into the trap of learning things so that we will be trapped by the system or some sort of a maze that is designed to feed things like online shopping. And I don't know, I think it is possible. I think we can, yeah, it is possible, but we are doing it. You guys are doing it. Otherwise, yeah, we get trapped. I didn't get the question, what is the significance of disharmony? Maybe we can discuss this later, but let me just go through all the question first. Modern parents definitely, I think, is going to struggle with harmony, not just the environment, but I don't know, for some reason, even chemically, I mean, it's almost shocking to meet kids that are like 9 years old who have, what do you call it? Bipolar. You know, it's like, one would think that this kind of problem happens only when you are in 40s, you know, like, but wow, just as iPhone is getting upgraded, it looks like our internal problem also gets upgraded faster even. It's so scary. But, you know, there is cause and condition, isn't it? There is definitely cause and conditions to conditions why we have this kind of phenomena now. So as we spoke, I don't know, a few months ago, mental resilience. Probably this is something that both parents, us, I don't know, organizers, teachers, opinion makers like me can actually talk about it. And there are some questions. To these questions, I can only say this. There's our head, you know, we talk about this is how your head thinks, and there's your heart. And sometimes they contradict. Your heart says this, but your head thinks something, but your heart feels something. But there's something else, the third factor. Again, I'm talking as a Buddhist now. People seem to only think about head and heart, but there's something else, the third one, called karma, which is really annoying. What to do? And yes, many times you may have beings, kids, adults, who seem to be innately disharmonious. Yeah. Well, as a Buddhist, what I could think of is do prayers and And then this may sound very superstitious and this may sound very unscientific for some of you, but actually to me it's very scientific. Prayers, longing, wishing, all these are a game changer, you know. They create atmosphere. They actually manipulate chemicals. I'm sure if a bunch of teachers who are facing with seemingly innately disharmonious kids constantly, you know, wish for, I don't know, peace and harmonious growth of a kid, that classroom will have a certain energy. This I believe, but I know I'm talking almost like a new age person here, but you know, it's intention is powerful. Intention is very powerful. Now, harmony connected to morality. Yes. Now this is where we will have to be a little dangerous. I mean, this is where we need to be little, as a Buddhist, I will have to say this. Morality is not never in the driver's seat in the Buddhist world. If there's a van, driver's seat should be occupied by the wisdom. Compassion should be next to the driver. Morality sits behind in the luggage room, you understand? In the, what do you call it? I forgot now. So, yeah, there are societies, there are parents, or there are, you know, culture that thinks that morality, ethic, discipline is a key to harmony. Yes, to a certain extent, but I think we need to watch, because their morality, righteousness, wow, very, very dangerous, you know, those. How do we talk harmony without alienating kids who are struggling? That one, actually, I guess if we are patient enough to just engage them, I think the kids will know that they are being included. They mean something and they are not left out. Or, yeah, patience, I guess. Okay, I will let you ask questions now. I think many of this question is from Jesse.
That last set was from Jesse. Jillian asked about the natural manifestation. I'm sure everybody has questions, but just from what you just said, it sounds like if teachers can cultivate patience, it will help in the classroom. It'll help students be more present. So is there a way to cultivate patience in adults?
I guess so. I will tell you what I do, and this is kind of sounding pathetic, but actually it works. I tell myself that, and it kind of works, that many times I tell myself that not everything has to work according to my standard or my interpretation of now this is correct. You understand? And I think this may be good. What do you think? I don't know. Because sometimes I have some ridiculous, not even high standard. Huh? Don't think I have a high standard. It's just my standard. So, you know, it's some ridiculous. And then when that is not being met, yeah, I just lose my patience. So if I tell myself that this is my standard and, you know, not, it doesn't have to be like this, I think it helps.
I have this word in the mind all the time with this going with the flow, especially when educating kids of different ages. Because the more concepts I have as a mother, the more quarrels I encounter, and the more openness I develop in the moment, knowing it'll pass and it'll change also.
Right.
The most harmonious it can be, even if the situation is awkward, even if it's, I don't know, it can be very, very ugly, but it doesn't matter. If it'll pass and it happens, this
Oh,
going
yes.
flow is very helpful.
Very good. Yeah, but I think I have a very stupid question, since you guys all live in most of you anyway, some of you, New York. Is there a governing body of United Nations people who are like a think tank, who really is actually powerful, who will actually do something, who are now actually planning the next generation's education? Is there such thing?
No, Rinpoche.
Do you think they would consider?
Education, I've said this before, is the most dogmatic area. People are more fractured and more dug in about how they think education should look than in any religion, I find. Even within our Sangha, Montessori, Waldorf, you know, people get very stuck and it's hard to find consensus. There are lots of interesting groups doing independent things in different colleges, universities, Mind Life Institute, doing work, but there's no I mean, the Secretary of Education, forget it. There's so many also different needs, inner city, upper class, this, that.
Right.
It's up to
Okay.
middle way.
There are some movements in Europe. There's one who passed recently. He was a Danish. His name is Jesper Juul. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He wrote very, very important books on education, and he was one of the first voices who said, after 11, you cannot educate anymore. The only thing is you can cooperate and you can communicate. But after that age, you cannot, you have to drop the idea of education. And I
Right.
think he's quite important in the European movements of new educations. Quite heard also.
Yes, I would think that Europeans have done a good job in the past, no? Like really revolutionizing some of the way that education. Is it like, are there more revolutionary thing happening in the West? I mean, in Europe? I'm I'm hearing a lot of good things about Finland, no? Isn't there?
Yeah, Finland is quite advanced.
Each country is very different. France just really pushes those kids hard. And Finland has this great system, and then Germany has this other system, and England has another system.
I see. So it's really, really difficult. Yeah, dogmatic. You put it right, I guess. What to do?
Rinpoche, when you said that we do have an aspiration at the school, that I think maybe now that you said that, I'm going to print it and put it in all the classrooms, that the children not be swayed by circumstance and learn how to be their own people. But I'm wondering if you have any other message that you think just printing and sticking on the wall of the classrooms, anything come to mind that we could just energetically put into the classrooms?
I'll think about it. I don't know. From the top of my head, I can't think of anything at the moment.
They all have a Tara statue and a Buddha.
Right.
I can ask again later.
You know, Tibetan have this idea in this, you know, sort of, I don't know, but Tibetan, sometimes Tibetan, what do you call it, analogies are slightly scientifically backward, you know. They have this analogy called silkworm. Silkworm, supposedly silkworm is the thread is their own saliva or something. Is it true?
It's part of them, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it comes from their own saliva. And then sometimes it can tighten their body and then kill themselves by their own this thread, whatever the silk. I don't know. Okay, anyway, you got the picture. Anyway, what we don't want is our own education system is like this silk thread that we make with our saliva, which tighten us, and kill ourselves, isn't it? That's what we don't want. The education system or whatever we are offering should really do the other way around, actually, if possible. Right now, what is being offered in the normal education seems to be doing this, the silkworm example, because as you grow up, then you actually learn to really want this, do this, compete this, get entangled with that. So you become more and more of a slave of what is it? Slave of a system that somebody is producing.
I wanted to just let you know also that Ashoka is on the call. I think he turned off his camera. I invited him. So there might be a question from a teenager. And then Isaiah had a question about how to work in that heat of the moment when you have conflict with a child. It's very hot and comes up suddenly. And then it causes long-lasting residue.
Yeah. Is that Isaiah's question? I can see Isaiah there. You're more and more looking like the character I've told you many, many years ago, which I will not mention here. Otherwise, you know, either me or you can get into trouble.
Yeah. I was just asking about conflict, and in a way, it may be a more tangible approach to understanding harmony and disharmony, because conflict can often lead to disharmony.
With the children.
Or amongst each other, amongst the children, amongst each other, children amongst parents. You know, I think the sort of flip side of harmony is not necessarily disharmony, but conflict.
So difficult, isn't it? So difficult. Wow. And then many times you have to live in an environment, and you know, if they're there with you 24 hours, 7 days a week, 12 months a year, then maybe you can do something. But then aren't they going to school? Aren't they going to?
Yeah.
And then they're meeting people, and then who knows those kids? What are they telling them? So I'm sure they have all kinds of stories writing about you. I mean, you are children's friends. Don't you think?
I'm sure.
Maybe you should let Somebody should ask them to secretly write these things. What do you think?
To write how they feel about
Yes,
parents and
someone, their friends, family, their brothers, their sisters. It's based, many times the modern kids are basically like my generation's, like adults. If you are talking to my generation, when I was 10 years old, I was 10 years old. These days, you are 10 years older, like they think and talk like 20 years, no? What do you think?
yeah, but they probably still have the emotional capacity of a 10-year-old, if not younger.
Hmm. So emotional intelligence is necessary. This is, you think so?
Yeah, of course.
Hmm. This is going to be even more difficult because people are now using emoji to communicate. Now we need to wear mask because of COVID. So we don't even know who is smiling or not. Emoji, thumbs up, thumbs down. Wow.
Shay,
Yeah.
you said that happiness is anything that's in your control, and then unhappiness is anything that that from you depending on something. But isn't everything dependent?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
This is why the Buddhists are really not that interested in happiness, because bottom line, it what the American would say, it sucks. Both happiness and unhappiness, bottom line. So they're not really interested.
I do think that we're trying to approach it how you were describing with the non-duality. Like we're trying to approach it at the school that things are going to come and go up and down, and you don't grasp at high and lows. You're going to hit them and go down, and not aspire for the highs, and just kind of learn how to surf
Okay.
those things. I don't know how to teach that, and I also really don't know how to even teach the four immeasurables to a 7-year-old.
Maybe for the non-duality, I think using the English expression that appearance is deceiving. Do you think you can play along that line?
Our school song is all about that, so it's the Diamond Sutra put to
Right. So
yeah.
that may be the best way. Appearance is deceiving. What you see is not what it is. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
But somewhere along the line, you should also make sure that the students don't disrespect what you see. Because when we say what you see is not what it is, immediately it seems to create some sort of a hierarchy that what it is higher than what you see. That's not what the Buddhists are saying. What you see is very important, but it is not what you see is not what it is. That you need to know. That one we need to somehow explain.
Luckily, children love rainbows, so that
Yes. Do you think um, I'm still thinking about the disharmony, sort of almost like an innate disharmonious, I don't know, student or kids. What can we do about this? Let me think about this a little bit more. I think that's quite an important, and I'm sure there's something we can do.
Rinpoche, that was my question. And I guess I just feel like with kids who have these diagnoses, like ADHD and dyslexia, where the only tools that we have are tools used to kind of force them to belong in this society, to fit in, to function, so sometimes it's just really frustrating as a parent when you kind of can see who they are and there just doesn't seem to be like a great place for them.
I know, yeah, to fit in. Wow, this is the thing. This is what I was talking about, the United Nations thing. If fit in, yeah, fit in. This is one word that we need to underline. Fit in, and also left out, right? Another one is not letting them. Do you think we are talking too much about dyslexia and what Asperger's? Is it Asperger's? But there's a problem called Asperger's, right? Do you think we are talking too much about these things, so therefore they're more evident or they're more up there in front of us? Because do you think there's too much experts talking about it, like in the televisions and in the books, and maybe do I sound like Donald Trump, who says don't test, more you test you will find more COVID?
Shay, I feel that it's been very beneficial for the kids. We're getting a lot of kids evaluated. And if you can, I hear what Jesse's saying, and I don't know if the protocols that happen afterwards are necessarily correct, but knowing certain differences that they might have early, the earlier you know, the more support you can give them and not expect them to get along in the normal ways. I don't know what to do when someone has something that really differentiates, when it becomes disruptive and disharmonious in the classroom. If you're a teacher with 12 students and there's one who's just running in circles and screaming because they have a sensory issue, the teacher can't teach the other 11 children. So that's where harmony comes in a lot at school, is then we have people come in and take them out, and then that's more staff. And then I'm not really sure what, I think it's a very good question. Are we trying to cookie cutter them and drug them and put them back in the class? Or could there be more options for a student like that? I don't know. But I think testing is good. I do think the testing part is good.
Okay. I'm learning from this. Actually, it's quite amazing that we are talking like that.
Anecdotally, my father was dyslexic and he dropped out of 7th or 8th grade because no one figured it out. So he didn't fit in, whereas our children discovered it early enough to where they could learn how to read in time to.
But that didn't really sort of made him totally ruined, right?
Yeah.
No, he just didn't allow him to participate in the education system.
Right.
Which might have been a blessing.
Right. So that's why sometimes to having this bird's eye view is important. Because sometimes I think we just look into this one narrow angle. Oh, you need to finish all the grade. Maybe this is where I think the parents need to be also taught. If your kids are not going to be finishing the 3rd grade, then you just need to sort of, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's the end of the child.
Can I say something to this? Because I feel like the more crucial thing of education of school is that the children have the experience of finishing something. It's not so much about going the same way as the others, but I have my oldest son, he dropped out of school because of many issues when he was in the 7th grade. And I was always trying to put him back to something that he can have the experience of finishing something, because this gives him like a strength. It can be anything. He could also do like climbing a mountain and coming back and having this experience.
Yes, of course.
But I think this has to be so much broader than only this one way, one pathway. This is important.
Of course, of course, of course. Yeah. So that's just an, bird's eyes view, like different graduation, right? We are talking about.
Rinpoche, you asked earlier about the United Nations and this movements in the world that are, is there anything? And I'm aware that UNESCO, which is part of the United Nations, has a working group on social emotional learning. But the problem is they're not very powerful or influential. And so many of these other countries aren't necessarily listening to what's coming out of there. But also, I'm aware that, among teachers, I feel like there's more and more readiness for focusing on things like mental resiliency and the well-being of the child and the whole approach, questioning the fundamental narrow-mindedness of the modern educational, predicament that we're in. And a lot of this, is really coming out of the frustrations that have arisen during the pandemic and the much higher levels of stress that our students are experiencing. And the frustration that teachers have trying to, balance academic standards with just taking care of the kids and making sure that they're okay. So I feel like there's a lot of readiness right now, this really kind of a dissatisfaction with the way things are, and I'm feeling like we have no choice but to focus on the essence of caring for children. And with that in mind, I think about what middle way school is doing is being so special and really looking for what's essential about what it is that we can export or package and therefore offer to the rest of the world, as people are really so hungry for this view and this approach. And so I'm not sure how to bring it to a simple question, but these are things that I'm reflecting on as I know that the world is, there's a lot of excitement right now about social emotional learning, and people are really ready because our students are not thriving. A lot of them are traumatized by this disconnection from each other. And so I just think as we're aware of that, we can be able to share what we're doing, knowing that people want to hear and want to learn these types of things that we're talking about. It's a very relevant conversation, I guess.
And then artificial intelligence is very much coming up. That's going to change the way we think, way we function, our identity. Wow.
I feel that social emotional, I'm so glad to see it happening everywhere. It's hard to say it's not something I'm rushing to export, because I think it needs to be individualized, or at least country-wise, each country. But the thing that I want to export, which you brought up right at the beginning, and which is coming up more and more as the centerpiece to Dharma, to what the Buddha taught, to what we can teach, is inquiry and constantly questioning where our sources of information are, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, why I think the way I think. And you said that about harmony, that groupthink is good to a point, individualization is good to a point. So teaching kids to question without becoming disrespectful is a middle way that we also have to find, because otherwise that they might not listen. And there's that also, you were talking about how Jeff Bezos, if we don't educate Jeff Bezos well, and then to just let everything be, again, we have to find, and it's very difficult to know where those lines are, and it's a constantly moving. So teaching the teachers how to navigate that.
Right.
Please, Rinpoche, tell all your students to become teachers. Please, please, please. We need more teachers. People who are practitioners, who study and practice. We're so lucky to have Jillian with us. There are very few teachers who, and you know that Michael's a teacher, but very few practitioner teachers.
Okay. That's it.
Everybody can unmute yourselves. Thank you so much, Rinpoche. This is so helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Thank you.
So much. Hello.
There's Magada.
Thank you. Say hello.
Do you see Magada?
Hi.
Oh,
Okay.
there's Kevin. Kevin goes to our school. And Ronan goes to our school.
Yay.